Hello guys, today we are going to begin with GOC part 2 lecture number 18, but make sure you watch the previous ones before viewing this one. In fact, the last lecture is a very big must for you people to watch this lecture. Why? Well, in the last lecture what we learned was how we draw the various projections for the organic molecules, and today we are going to discuss how we interconvert these projections. So we have four types of projections. Number one, the flying wedge projection, the Fisher projection, the Newman projection, and the Sawhorse projection. So we have organic molecules as three-dimensional structures, and to represent them on a piece of paper in your notebooks, in your books, well, we need to learn about all these four types of projections, the way we draw the organic molecules on paper. So this is what you learned in the last lecture, how we draw them, and that we did looking at the molecules and drawing them one by one. So if you have an understanding how you draw them, well then it is going to be very easy to learn how interconvert one into the other. Okay. So the interconversion, first of all, why is it important for you people to know? First of all, in your examination, you can be given an organic molecule drawn in any of these four projections or just as a formula, right? And well, then it is going to be important for you people to decide which one projection should you use for finding out a particular thing. For example, a Newman projection, this is very helpful in finding out about conformational isomerism, looking at the various conformers. Similarly, Sawhorse projection, this is going to be very helpful when you're doing a chemical reaction to find out what product is going to be formed. Okay, and a Fisher projection, this is very helpful quickly to see whether a meso compound has been formed or not. Or a flying wedge projection, this gives us a quick way to understand how the groups of atoms around a chirality center, they have been arranged in space. So this gives us a three-dimensional representation of the organic molecules. Although these are two-dimensional representations, but they find their own use in the study of organic chemistry. So you should know all of them, and you should be able to convert one into the other. So that is what we are learning in this lecture, and I am Dr. Ritu Johar, your educator from the channel H2O, the A to Z of chemistry, and I hope you are going to enjoy this lecture with me. So let us begin the learning. So in the interconversion of the projection formulae, the first that we will be learning is the conversion of a flying wedge formulae to a Fisher projection, and that we will be doing with the help of an example of 2-bromopropanoic acid, carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon number 3, and bromine at position number 2. So 2-bromopropanoic acid, this is the flying wedge formulae, and this is the Fisher representation for the same molecule. So how do we convert this into this? Let us learn that. So first of all, you should have a clear understanding what the flying wedge formula means and what the Fisher projection means. This is what I taught in the last lecture. But nevertheless, if you've not even watched that, I'm just going to quickly talk about it. If you do not understand, you will have to go back to the previous lecture and have a thorough understanding of all the four types of projections, what all of them mean. And in fact, it would be very good if you do that. Now, well, first of all, in this flying wedge formulae, what you can see is that we have two lines which are simple looking lines. One we have is a solid wedge, and one we have this dotted line triangle. Okay, so what do all of these mean? Well, the simple looking lines, they mean that these are in the plane of paper. The solid wedge, this is pointing towards us, away from the plane of paper, but towards us. And this dotted line, this is also away from the plane of paper, but this is also away from us. So this is pointing towards us, this is pointing away from us, and these two, they are in the plane of paper. So the COH group and the CH3, they are in the plane of paper, and COH group, because this is the principal functional group, we represent this on the top of the vertical line in the plane of paper. Okay, so this is as far as the flying wedge formulae is concerned. And when we move on to the Fisher projection for the same molecule, well, the ones in the ordinary looking lines, which were the bonds which were in the plane of paper, we represent them in a Fisher projection by a vertical line, and the ones which were not in the plane of paper, we represent them on the horizontal line. The vertical groups, well, they are away from the viewer. The horizontal ones, they are towards the viewer. So what is the difference between these two? The COH and the CH3, they were in the plane of paper. Now they are away from the viewer. So what do we have to do? Well, we have to rotate the molecule from wherever we were looking at it in such a way that the CCOH and the CCH3, they go away from the viewer. They should not be in one plane. They should be away from us. Okay. So when you're going to rotate the molecule in such a way that the bonds shown in the plane of paper, they go away from the viewer and vertical, well, what you will be getting is a Fischer projection. Okay, so these two, they go away from the viewer and they are vertical, so we represent them by a vertical line. And what happens to the H and Br then? Bromine, this was projecting forwards, but if you look at it in relation to the vertical line, here what you can see is this is towards the left of the vertical line. But when these group, they are going to be rotated in such a way that they go back away from the viewer, well, this will remain forward projecting towards the viewer, but this will move towards the right. The hydrogen, which was on the left but away from the viewer, this is also going to move forward, and when it moves forward, it will remain on the left, but it will be towards the viewer. So if we just draw what we are saying, what we will be getting is, in a flying wedge projection, a carbon in the center and the vertical line, right, which is away from the viewer, where we are getting a COH group and a CH3. This is how we have rotated. And then we have horizontally placed two groups which are towards the viewer. Bromine, which was on the left side means the way I am looking at the molecule. That is what you have to remember. So if this is the vertical line, I'm looking at it, what I see is this is my right side and this is my left side. Okay, so bromine, when we rotated the molecule backwards so that the COH and CH3, they go back, well, bromine, this moves to the right side. So we will be writing it over here. Hydrogen, which was back, it comes forward but it remains on the left side, so we write it like this. And after we have made this, what we do is we just flatten out the molecule so that this becomes a two-dimensional representation. A flying wedge is a three-dimensional representation. A Fischer is a two-dimensional representation. So if you flatten out the whole molecule on paper, well, all those things which were coming forward, which were going back, well, they are going to lie on the surface of the plane of paper. Okay, so they lie on paper now, and what you will be getting is a Fischer projection. So what have we done? Just drawn simple lines for these forward going groups and backward going groups. Okay, so this is how we have a Fischer projection. Now, well, many of the students, they find very difficult to imagine how the molecule is going to be rotated, which group is going to go on the left side, which is going to go on the right side. So I have a very short little trick for you, and it is going to be a very quick one also for you to convert a flying wedge projection into a Fischer projection. So what do we do for that? Well, what we do is we see this vertical line. Okay, so we see this vertical line. As I just now told you, this is my right side as I'm looking at the molecule, and this is my left side as I'm looking at the molecule. So first of all, the two bonds in the plane of paper, starting from the group which was on the top of that vertical line, we write the COH group, make a vertical line, the end of it is a CH3. So we draw these two bonds which were in the plane of paper. Okay, once you have done that, now that was easy because you could see that they were in the plane of paper, but now what you do not know is what to keep on the left side and what to keep on the right side. Okay, and for that you have to rotate the molecule. Imagine how the things they are moving. So the trick for that is that you see the groups in the Fischer projection, in the flying wedge projection, where they are on the left side or they are on the right side. So for this molecule, they are on the left side. So wherever they are, supposedly for this molecule, if they are on the left side, see what is the group which is by the dash. Okay, so we have hydrogen by the dash. Let it remain on the left side in the Fisher projection also. So we let hydrogen remain on the left side, and the one which was represented by a solid wedge, take that to the opposite side, and we have bromine now on the right side. So this is how you do it. Okay, and one very important thing, while you are making a conversion, any projection into the other projection, what you have to remember is that if the molecule is chiral, well, you have to maintain the configuration of the molecule. If the molecule is having a R configuration, let that be in R configuration for the Fisher also. Do not change the configuration. If it is a S, let that be also S. If you change the configuration, well, the whole projection, this becomes wrong. Okay, so if you have not again studied the RS configuration, you will be doing that when you study the lectures on optical isomerism. If you have done that already, you know how to find out the RS configuration of the chiral molecules. So let me tell you quickly what is going to be the configuration of this molecule that we have. So going by the atomic numbers, bromine is going to be group number 1, right? COH will be 2, CH3 will be 3, hydrogen will be 4. So in a flying wedge projection, the fourth priority group, this has to be on the dash. Hydrogen is on the dash. So what we have to simply do is make an arrow from 1 to 2, and when we make an arrow from 1 to 2, you have to always cross over 4 and never over third priority group. So when we do that, well, the direction of the arrow is clockwise, so the configuration is R. And when we check that for a Fisher projection, well, bromine 1, COH2, CH3 3, and hydrogen is 4. So again, make an arrow from 1 to 2. Well, this is now the anti-clockwise direction, but in a Fisher projection, you have to remember, if your fourth priority group is on the horizontal line, just reverse the configuration that you're getting from the arrow. So if the arrow is anti-clockwise, the answer has to be the clockwise direction and the R configuration. If the fourth priority group is present on the vertical line, we let it remain as that. So this is again what we have discussed in detail in the lectures on the optical isomerism. So if you have any doubts, well, you can go back to those lectures and consult that. Fine. So the configuration of the projections, this should remain the same. That is very important for you people to remember. Okay. Now the next thing is, what I've just now told you is that the principal functional group generally we represent on the top of this vertical line in the plane of paper. But supposedly you are given a molecule in another fashion, and then you are just tested for your knowledge. Okay, so what I'll do is that instead of the COH group, I will put a CH3 over here, and the COH I will put over here. And now I ask you to make a Fisher projection for this molecule. Okay, so how will you do that? Well, what you can do is, whatever you have learned, make the Fisher projection just the same way. CH3 is on top, so write CH3 on top. Again, the vertical line in the plane of paper, make that vertical line. There is 2 groups, so we have one chirality center, we made that. At the lowermost position, we put the other group which was on the vertical line, which was in the simple looking line on the plane of paper. Okay, now again this vertical line, this is going to be my right side, this is going to be my left side. So hydrogen, which is on the dash, remains here, and bromine goes to the other side. So this is how I draw the molecule. But again, by convention, when we make a Fisher projection, the top is the carbon number 1, okay, and this will be carbon number 2, and this will be carbon number 3. You do not start the numbering from the top. If it is a CH3, you will have to start from below. And we always do this as a correct representation. So what this means is that we have to invert the whole molecule by an angle of 180 degrees so that the COH group goes on top. Okay, so what I want is that the COH groups, this should remain on top. If I do that, well, I have to rotate my molecule, and when I'm rotating it, I'll have to rotate it at an angle of 180 degrees so that one which is below goes up and one which is up goes below. And with that, bromine will be coming on the left side and hydrogen will be coming on the right side. So this is my correct representation of this molecule now. Okay, and what you have to again remember is that the configuration of this structure and this structure, this should remain the same now. Okay, and well, it is going to be the same. You can test it also, because in the last lecture when we were discussing about the Fisher projections, I told you about the characteristics of the Fisher projection, and we learned over there that if we rotate the molecule by an angle of 180 degree in the plane of paper, well, the Fisher projection, the configuration will not change and the molecules that we have, they are identical. Okay, but if we rotate the molecule by an angle of 90 degree, well, then the configuration is going to change, but we have rotated it by 180, so the molecule remains the same. Okay, so this is one thing that you have to remember. Another thing that we learned in the last lecture, I'm going to utilize that also in your learning of the conversions today, so that you remember those things very well, and they will be really helpful to you when you are going to do your problem solving. Okay, and the next thing is, well, there is another possibility that we could have the COH group supposedly not on the lines which are representing in the plane of paper. We have a COH group with a solid wedge or with a dash also, you can put anywhere. I'm just giving you an example. So we have the interchange of COH and bromine. So now this is the molecule that is given to you, and you have to again draw the Fisher projection for it. Then what will you do? Again, you follow the same principle. First of all, we have bromine on the top of the vertical line, so we will be starting with that. Drop down the vertical line. What is at the other end? Well, we have a CH3. Now again, this is my vertical line, so this is the right, this is the left. I make a hydrogen on the left side and I take COH group to the other side. Okay, now again, what do we want? What we want is that the COH group should go on the top. Okay, for making it go on the top, what will I have to do? Well, I will have to change the position of COH and Br. So let us first of all do that. Okay, so COH, Br, I change the position, and CH3 and H remain over here. So this is going to be my conversion that I have done, and I'm writing this as 1. Why I'm writing this as 1 is because I have interchanged the position of two groups. So this is my interchange number 1. And when we do a 1 interchange, well, the molecule, it gets converted into its enantiomer. This is again what I've told you in the last lecture, explained you that with the help of the models also. Okay, so we do not want the configuration to change. So what are we going to do? Well, we are going to make 2 interchanges. So we will make 1 more interchange. And what is that going to be? Well, we want the COH and CH3, which is going to be our carbon chain, to remain in position. So let us change the position of H and Br. When we do that, what you will be getting is, I'll just rub it over here only. So Br will come this side and H will come this side, right? So now we have made how many interchanges? We have made 2 interchanges. And when we make 2 interchanges, the molecule remains the same. The configuration remains the same. If we make 1 interchange, it converts into its enantiomer. If we make 2 interchanges, well, it converts it back into the identical molecule or the original molecule. So this is going to be my correct representation for this flying wedge representation. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now you can ask, is this trick really okay? Is it going to be working for every condition? Well, it is going to be working for every condition, because I'm going to tell you why have we made this trick. Okay, so what we have is that in a Fisher projection, we say that the H and the Br, which are on the horizontal line, they are towards the viewer. So looking at this molecule in a flying wedge projection, where should we stand so that we can get H and Br towards us and COH and CH3 away from us? Well, if I stand over here, okay, and look at the molecule this way, what I will be finding is that the H and Br, they are pointing towards me. The COH and CH3, they are going to be away from me and they are verticals. Okay, and if I am looking at this, what this means is that COH will be on top and CH3 will be below. And also when I'm looking at, well, I will find that hydrogen is on my left and bromine is going to be on my right, and this is therefore how, looking at this molecule, well, I have made my Fisher projection. So I hope now this is clear to you how we are going to convert a flying wedge into a Fisher projection. And now I'm going to show you, when there are going to be more than one chirality center, how will you be converting a flying wedge to a Fisher, and then the concept is going to become more clear to you people. So let us just clear this out, and then we will be seeing an example where we have two chirality centers. Okay. Okay, the molecule that I am taking over here as an example for two chirality center is 3-bromo-2-butanol, carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon number 3, and carbon number 4. OH at position number 2 and bromine at position number 3. I've already written the RS system of nomenclature, that C2 will be having the S configuration, C3 will be having an R configuration. Okay, so let us quickly do that as well, because even the RS system of nomenclature we can use for converting a flying wedge into a Fisher. So we have OH group to be group number 1, this will be group number 2, CH3 will be group number 3, and hydrogen will be group number 4. This is already on the dash. So if I draw an arrow from 1 to 2, well, this is going to be an anti-clock, so S configuration. And for C3, if I just number the groups again, well, bromine is going to be group number 1, highest atomic number, then this is going to be C2, then 3 and 4. But now hydrogen is represented by the solid wedge, so will I have to change the position of H and Br. So my bromine is over here now, and when I draw an arrow from 1 to 2, this is going to be anti-clockwise. Because we have done one interchange of groups, well, the configuration is going to be opposite the direction of the arrow, so we will be having a R configuration. Now, knowing the configuration and the priority order of the groups in the flying wedge, you can convert it into a Fisher. So how do we do that? First of all, what we are going to do is we will be drawing a vertical line with these 4 groups on that vertical line. Okay, so the ones which were in the plane of paper, we will be drawing them on the vertical line. So we start with the CH3 group, which is going to be carbon number 1 for this molecule. Then we go to C2, then C3, and then this is C4, which we have drawn by a vertical line. Then for C2, if you look at, first of all, what you know is that OH is priority group number 1. This was 2, CH3 was 3, and hydrogen was 4. Hydrogen and OH we are going to put on the horizontal line. So remaining what we have is 2 and 3 groups already there. So this is group number 2 and this is group number 3 on the vertical line that we have. And we have to arrange our 1 and 4 in such a way that we get an S configuration for the center. Okay, so now if we put a OH this way on the right side of ours, well, we will be making an arrow in the clockwise direction because the 4th priority group is present on the horizontal line. So you will be writing the opposite configuration. So this becomes the S configuration. Okay, and similarly you can do that for the C3 also. And when you are going to do that, well, this is what you will be getting. Now, this is something as far as the RS system of nomenclature is concerned, that we can convert a flying wedge into a Fisher. But we can do that more quickly with the trick that I've already told you. And what was that trick? Well, you have to just see first of all your vertical line. So this is the vertical line that we had, and this is what we have made of that vertical line. Fine. So now what is going to be there? Well, this is going to be my right side and this is my left side. This is my right side and this is my left side. So I see that for C2, the groups are lying where on, they are lying on the left side. When they're lying off the left side, C, which is the group which is attached to the dash, so that is hydrogen, let that remain on the left side. Take the OH group on the other side. Okay, next see the other groups, we have bromine and hydrogen, now right side of the vertical line. So now we will be keeping The group which is on the right side and represented by a dash on the right side and take the other group to the left side. So now bromine will remain here on the right side and hydrogen we will be taking to the opposite side. So this goes to the left. And this is how you quickly draw a Fisher projection, right? So this is very quick way of drawing a Fisher projection from a flying wedge. So supposedly I have a Fisher projection. Now let us have, a flying wedge where there are more than two chirality centers also. So supposedly this is what is given to you in the examination. Here I have a bromine. Here I have a OH. Let here also be there an OH. Okay, and for this molecule you are asked to convert it into a Fisher projection. And how are you going to do it? First of all, you are going to fill all the valencies of the carbon. So when you're going to do that, what you will be having is this is going to be a CH3. At the end also it is going to be a CH3. And here now, this is what I will be having, a hydrogen, a hydrogen, a hydrogen. Okay. Now where will we start with the carbon chain? Well, we will have to start the carbon chain for the Fisher projection from below, because the OH group should be given a lower number. Fine. So this is how we will be drawing the molecule. Well, you will get confused, okay, when you're going to try to reciprocate it in this flying wedge projection only. So you will be getting confused. So what you are going to do? Well, you are going to just write it as you see in the flying wedge first of all. So what we have is, we have a CH3. We have this to be chirality center number 1, 2 and 3, and then the CH3 group. So for the 3 chirality centers, we have drawn the 3 vertical lines. Once you have done that, now you can see that this is the vertical line. So this is my right side, this is my left side. This is the right side, this is the left side. So here now the groups, they are on the right side. Okay, so what is on the dash? Well, the hydrogen is on the dash. So let that remain on the right side. Let the bromine go to the other side. The next, for next chirality center, you see the OH and the H on the left side. So what is going to remain here? H will remain here, OH will go to the other side. Next, again we see the groups on the right side. So again we left the hydrogen, which was by a dash, on the right side, and we take the OH to the other side. So this is what you have. Now you are going to invert the molecule by an angle of 180 degree so that you get the correct configuration. So CH3, CH3. So when you're going to take this on the top, whatever is below will be going here, then OH and then H. And similarly for this one, well, if it is going, so this will be going up, the H and the Br. So this is how you will be getting after a rotation of 180 degree, and this is going to be the correct representation of the molecule. So I hope now you understood how you're going to convert a flying wedge to a Fisher projection. So now the next we will be doing is the conversion of a Fisher projection into the flying wedge projection. So the example that we will be taking, that will remain the same, that is 2-bromopropanoic acid. And here now when we are going to convert a Fisher projection into a flying wedge, what you have to remember is that we can make it in 2 ways. Why we can make it in 2 ways? Well, we can make it in 2 ways is because these 2 groups which were on the vertical line, they were away from the weir. Now they are going to be in the plane of paper. When you're going to make them in the plane of paper, you're going to represent it like this way, with 2 simple looking lines and making an angle with each other like a V, you can say. Fine. And now this V is opening towards the right side. And here we can also have a possibility that we open this V towards the left side. When this is opening towards the right side, the groups, the hydrogen and bromine, which were on the horizontal line, they will be on the left side. And when you're going to open this on the the left side, the groups, they will be coming up on the right side. Okay, so that is how the difference is. So first of all, the vertical groups you will be making like this, and the top one will be going on the top of the vertical line in the plane of paper. So once that is done, you have to see where H goes and where bromine goes. First of all, you should have an understanding that these two groups you are going to draw in such a way that bromine is one which is lower down and hydrogen this is slightly above the dash. Okay, so looking at the representation, what we get a feeling is, well, this is a group which is closer to us and this is far away. Okay, so we are looking at the molecule, this one is closer, this is far away, so we draw this a bit lower than this one. So this is how the drawing is. Okay, so always the dash make on the top and the solid wedge make slightly below that. Perfectly clear, first of all, how you are going to draw that. Now once you have done that, you remember that now the groups, they are opening over here on which side? Well, this is my left side. So whatever is on the left side of the Fisher projection, keep it on the dash, and the other group take onto the right side. Okay, so bromine comes on the wedge. Similarly over here, now my vertical line, the groups, they are on the right side. So when they are on the right side, well, you will be keeping the group bromine, which is on the right side, on the right dash, and hydrogen, which is on the opposite, with the solid wedge. So this is how you will be converting a Fisher projection into a flying wedge formula. So now let us learn to draw another example, and the example I'm going to take is 3-bromo-2-butanol, for which you've already learned how to draw a flying wedge into a Fisher. So now we are just going to do the opposite, and when you're doing the opposite, please be a bit more careful, because you're going to convert now a two-dimensional representation into a three-dimensional representation. Okay, so here you are going to be learning a lot many things. First of all, where are we going to start with? Well, Fisher projection, the top is our carbon number 1. So we will be starting with that only. So we write a CH3. We know this is occupying the vertical position in the plane of paper. So I draw an ordinary looking line. Next I come to C2. For this I'm going to draw one more ordinary looking line, which is going to be my carbon number 3, which is also going to be in the plane of paper. So all the things which are in the vertical line in a Fisher projection, we draw them by ordinary looking lines. They are in the plane of paper for a flying wedge projection. Now the next we have to draw is the CH3. Now the question arises, where do we draw it? Do we take it up like the first CH3, or we can take it down also? Well, actually we can do it the both ways, and I'm going to show you both ways. Okay, so we have now, so for each of C2 and C3 we have made two bonds both in the plane of paper. So what is going to be left behind? What is left behind is to draw the wedge and the dash. Where is going to be that? So now let me show you that. So first of all, what I do is I make a wedge. Okay, so feeling it's not giving very nice feeling, but I hope you people understand. Fine, so this is the wedges that I have drawn for those groups which are going to be towards me, and now I have to draw the dash for the groups which are going to be away from me. So away from me, well, I can just represent them farther away. Okay, so my red wedge, this is towards me when I'm looking at the molecule, and I think you can also feel that the representation, the drawing, the way we have made it, you can have a feeling that the dashes, they are away, the wedges, they are towards us. Okay, this is as far as drawing it when we have this way in which we had taken the CH3 up. Okay, and now let us fill up the H, the OH and the Br in their positions. So the way I have taught you people was that look at the vertical line both in the Fisher projection and in the flying wedge. So this is my right side for the Fisher and my left side, and for the flying wedge, now this is going to be my right side and this is going to be my left side, if I just go about by looking at the line joining the four carbons. Okay, now whatever is on the left side, because my these two groups, they are on the left side, So whatever is on the left side in a Fisher projection, put it on the dash for the flying wedge projection. So here what do we have? We have a hydrogen, right? So hydrogen I will be putting on the dash, and the OH I will be putting on the wedge. Okay, and next carbon, again this is on the left side of the line of the 4 carbon, the main carbon chain, the chain which we have in the plane of paper. So this is also on the left side. So again what we will be doing, on the left side we have hydrogen, so we will be putting that on the hash wedge, and we will be putting the bromine on the wedge. So this is how the structure gets complete. Okay, now when we are going to make the next structure, let us do that also. So I have done my this, and because this was C2 and this is going to remain the same. What is difference between these two things? First of all, you should understand that if you watched my previous lecture, you understand that this is the eclipsed conformation for the molecule, right? We have a free rotation possible about the sigma bond. So C2 and C3, which are joined to each other by a sigma bond, free rotation about that is possible. So what we can do is, we can rotate this molecule in such a way that we keep one of the carbons fixed and we rotate the other carbon along with its groups. So what happens is the CH3 which was on top, this has come below in the next way of representation. Okay, this we call as the eclipsed project conformation. Because if we look at the molecule from the front, what we realize is the CH3 group is going to hide the CH3 group behind it. This hydrogen is going to hide the hydrogen behind it, and this OH, however, how much, whatever possible, because the groups they are different, but this OH is hiding the bromine behind it, whatever amount of it can hide. Okay, so such a projection we will be calling it as an eclipsed projection. And when we rotate this by an angle of 180 degrees so that the CH3 groups goes below, what will happen is this CH3 will not be able to hide this. Both of them, they will be clearly visible, and we call this to be a staggered conformation. Okay, the details of all this is going to be discussed in conformational isomerism. The models for this I have already shown in my previous lecture, where we were talking about independently all these projections. So these are the two conformations. Now in this conformation, let us put when we are going let us put the dash and the wedge for the C3 also. So here now you can understand, when we are rotated the molecule by the carbon carbon bond by an angle of 180 degree, the CH3 came below. So what will happen to the bromine and the hydrogen? When the bromine and hydrogen, if it was below, it will go above the carbon carbon bond, and the bromine which was forward towards the viewer, it will go behind, and the hydrogen which was back, it will come forward. Okay, so first of all, if I put the OH and the H in the place, I have to put now my bromine, and my bromine, this is going to be now with a dash. And where will I draw my dash? Well, I am going to draw the dash diagonally opposite to the wedge. Okay, upwards but diagonally opposite to the wedge. And where will I draw my wedge? Well, I will be drawing it diagonally opposite to the dash, this way. So this is how the representation becomes complete. And here I will be putting a bromine, and here I will be putting up a hydrogen now. So this is how this gets complete. And if you want to confirm it with the trick that we did, well, you can see that also. Okay, and in the trick what we did was, well, we had now this vertical line. So this is the right side, this is the left side. So now my groups, they are on the right side. So whatever is on the right, we will be putting it on the hashed wedge, that is bromine, and hydrogen will be by the solid wedge. Okay, so this is how you look at this. So here, if you remember, just in the eclipse projection, how we are going to draw the wedge and the dash, the wedge is nearer to us and the dash away from us. So you will be getting the eclipsed projection, and then you can look at the left and the right and fill up the groups. And in the staggered projection, where you have a solid wedge, opposite to that put a dash, and where you have a dash, opposite to that put up a wedge. And then you can just fill up looking at the right and the left on the vertical line. Okay, so this is how you will be getting the two conformations for 3-bromo 2-butanol, one an eclipsed and another a staggered. Okay, I hope this is clear to you people. Now here in front of you we have the 3 stereoisomers of tartaric acid in the perspective formula as well as in the Fischer projection. So what are these 3 stereoisomers? One is a meso compound and 2 are a pair of enantiomers. So the students who already know optical isomerism, well, they know all about it. But in case you have not yet studied about optical isomerism, do not worry, you will understand all of this when you have studied that. But what I want you to all do is that take one compound and convert it into its Fischer projection, the second into its Fischer projection, the third and into its Fischer projection, and vice versa also. So that is one practice that I want you all people to do. Okay. So the next interconversion we are going to do is of a Fischer projection into a Sawhorse projection. So for that, the example I will be taking is from the 3 stereoisomers of tartaric acid, for we have just now drawn the flying wedge as well as the Fischer projections. So let us take the Fischer projection, for example, of mesotartaric acid and convert it into its Sawhorse projection. So how we will be doing it? So first of all, what I will be doing is I'll just draw the enlarged version of the mesotartaric acid so that the understanding becomes clear. So mesotartaric acid, carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon number 3, carbon number 4, butane 1,4-dioic acid. We have OH group at position number 2 and position number 3. This is 2,3-dihydroxybutane 1,4-dioic acid. And in this mesotartaric acid, the thing that you will be seeing is that the two OH groups, they are on the same side of the vertical line, whereas in the enantiomeric forms you see that the two OH groups, they will be on opposite side of the vertical line. Okay. And the speciality of this mesotartaric acid in the case of optical isomerism is that in spite of the presence of two chirality centers, this molecule is optically inactive. So I will be coming back to that also. But first of all, what are we going to do? Well, we are going to draw the Sawhorse projection. So starting with this C2, C3 carbon that we will be looking at in a Sawhorse projection. So first thing that we drew is that we stand slightly obliquely looking at the molecule from the front, and front the carbon that you will be seeing is C3 and C2 is going to be obliquely behind C3. So for that, what do? Well, we draw an oblique long line like this and we write a carbon here and a carbon here. We may not write it also, we can just represent it at the intersection of the lines also. Okay, so now this is C3. I will just write C3 so that you understand what are we talking about. So C3 and this is C2. Now once you have done that, what you have to do is, well, first of all, whenever you have a Fischer projection, we always convert it into its eclipsed Sawhorse projection. That is what you have to really remember. And then we can convert eclipsed into the staggered. So what are we going to do? Well, we are going to draw the eclipsed Sawhorse projection. And in eclipsed Sawhorse projection, first of all, well, we have the COH group. So we will be putting it on the top. And C2, this has on the vertical line another COH group. So this we will be putting again on the top so that the group in front hides the group behind it. So this is how we will be drawing the eclipsed Sawhorse projection. Now the remaining is going to be easy. You are going to just draw two lines which are going to make these three lines look like inverted Y this way and this way. So just make sure your lines, they are on opposite side of this vertical line, or you can just simply draw this way and this way, this way and this way, and then we have a COH and a COH, so this way. So this is how you're going to draw it if you do not write down the carbon. So this is going to be the correct way. So what you have to remember is these lines that we are drawing on the left and right side of the vertical line, well, they should be on opposite sides. Okay, so this is how you will be drawing it. Then is this way and this way. So these are the four groups, that is the H and the OH. So you can see now on the left side of the vertical line you have two hydrogens, so just write a hydrogen here, a hydrogen here. On the right side you have two OH groups, so write the two OH groups. This is how you will be getting the eclipsed conformation for mesotartaric acid. Now you have to convert it into the staggered Sawhorse projection, because always the staggered conformation, this is more stable than the eclipsed. So generally we leave the molecule in a staggered projection, that is more stable. So we are going to convert the eclipsed now again into the staggered. So how are we going to do it? Well, we have to keep one of the carbons fixed, any one we can do, and we are going to rotate the C2C3 sigma bond, because free rotation is possible, and we are going to rotate it by an angle of 180 degree. So when we do that, so just let me rub this out. Okay, so now when we do that, I'll just not write down the carbons now. So when I have to make a staggered projection, first of all, these groups, they remain the same. Okay, so this is a COH, this is a H, and this is a OH. So now I've rotated this by an angle of 180 degrees. So the COH group which was above, this will come below, and these one will go up. And when they go up, the OH which was on the right side of the vertical line, this goes back, and hydrogen which was on the left side of the vertical line, well, this is on the right side now. Okay, so this is now what projection? Well, this is going to be the staggered projection. When we look at the molecule from the front, we will be able to see all the 6 groups attached to C2 and C3, whereas in the eclipsed one, we will not be able to see if we just properly stand in front of C3, so that we cannot see C2. Well, you will find that the front groups you are able to see and the back ones you are not able to see. That is why we call it as the eclipsed one. Okay, now just now what did I tell you? I told you was that whenever you have a Fischer projection, always convert it into the eclipsed conformation and then convert the eclipsed into the staggered. Why did I say though? So there should be some reason, and you should know that reason also. So can you tell me, if you have seen the lectures on optical isomerism, can you people tell me that in Fischer projection we say that the molecule, in spite of two chirality centers, it is optically inactive? Why do we say so? We have studied about the elements of symmetry. If any element of symmetry, that is the plane of symmetry or the center of symmetry, this is present in the molecule, we say that it is going to be optically inactive. And in a Fischer projection, whenever we have a meso compound, you can see a plane of symmetry. Right? So if I draw a plane over here, I see on the left and the right side, or you can say up and down of this plane, well, I can see two mirror images of each other. So I can bisect the molecule into two halves, such two halves which are the mirror image of each other. So in this Fischer projection, what do you see? I see a plane of symmetry. Do I see a center of symmetry? No, I do not see a center of symmetry in this. Okay. So now out of these two, eclipsed and staggered conformation, where do you see a plane of symmetry, in the eclipsed form or in the staggered form? So if you just look over here, well, if I draw a plane here between C2 and C3, what I will see is, if I go this side, I have a carbon, this side I have a carbon, right? So they will be on, if this is acting as a mirror, well, I see on this side and this side a carbon-carbon. If I go up, I see both sides a COH group. If I go forward, well, I see a OH, OH, and if I go backward, I see a H and H. So this is a plane of symmetry which I can see in the eclipsed conformation. Do I see that in the staggered? Well, if I just draw a plane over here, well, I will not be finding a COH opposite to this COH. I find some other groups over there. So I do not find that. So there is no plane of symmetry. But in the staggered conformation, what you can see is, well, we have a center of symmetry. So if this is considered to be the center of the molecule, well, I should be able to find groups in opposite direction going equal distances from the center. So I go this side, I find a carbon. I go this equal distance backward, I find a carbon. Okay, I go up, I find a COH group. I go below, I find a COH group. Okay, I go back, I find a hydrogen, and I come forward and up. Okay, so this is below and this is up. This is backward, this is forward. So again, at equal distances, I will be finding a hydrogen, and similarly the OH group. So this acts as a center of symmetry. In both the conformations, in eclipsed and staggered, we find some element of symmetry. That is why the mesotartaric acid is optically inactive. But the eclipsed plane of symmetry is matching with the Fischer plane of symmetry. So this means that the Fischer projection, this is always in a eclipsed conformation. So always remember that the Fischer projection, we have the groups oriented in such a way that the groups which are attached to the carbons, well, they are eclipsing each other. Okay, and that is why what do? Well, we convert a Fischer first of all into the eclipsed and then into the staggered. If we have to convert a Fischer into a sawhorse, or a Fischer into a Newman, and similarly if you have to convert a sawhorse or a Newman projection into a Fischer projection, you will be doing what? You will be first of all converting them into their eclipsed and then converting it back to the Fischer. Okay, so you will see that with the example. So let me show you one more example now. So now see this example. This is one of the enantiomers that I have for tartaric acid, the Fischer projection, and what we have to do? Well, we have to convert it into the sawhorse. So let us do that quickly now. So here what you can see is that, well, this is, we see the two OH groups, they are on opposite side. So this is the enantiomeric form. We have two chirality center and the compound, this is optically active. Okay, so we have to convert this Fischer projection into the sawhorse. So how are we going to look at the molecule? We are going to look at the C3C2 as an oblique line. So we draw a long oblique line. Then first of all, we have to convert Fischer into the eclipsed conformation. So for the front carbon, the COH group, this will be on type. So whatever is on the vertical line, that we draw like this, just like we do for the flying wedge projection. Okay. So here you can see, like, just when we draw for the flying wedge projection, we draw all the groups which are on the plane of paper, well, with the simple looking lines. So just at the same positions you draw for the sawhorse also. Okay, so oblique line, then the COH group on top and eclipsed. So back one also you will be drawing the COH group just exactly behind it. Okay, and then you just have to see the right and the left. So for C3, you find that looking onto your left, you find a OH, and onto your right a H. So a OH and a H. And then for C2, a H and a OH. So same positions, the H and a OH. Okay, so this is how you will be drawing it. Then you will be rotating the molecule by a 180-degree angle so that the groups at the back carbon, you have to keep one fixed. You can do any of the two, that is your choice. We do not say which one you do it by your comfort, whatever you like. So if I keep these to be in fixed position and I'm rotating the C2C3 bond by an angle of 180 degrees, so these groups, they will be rotating their position by an angle of 180. So the COH group will go below, the OH is down, the H is down, so they will go up and onto the opposite sides. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So this is how you do it. And when you want to convert this staggered into a flying wedge, what do you have to do? Well, you just simply put a wedge and a dash for the groups over here. Okay, so here for example you can put, because you understand in a flying wedge the group which was behind, which is far away from us, when we look at, well, we put a dash. So what we will be doing is that, for example, if I put over here, and I can make this as a wedge. Okay, if I fill in the whole color, and this is going to be my dash. Fine. Similarly, this one will be the dash, and this one will be the wedge. Okay. So I hope now this is also clear how you can convert this sawhorse into a flying wedge projection. Both of them, they look similar, only the sawhorse is a two-dimensional representation, whereas a flying wedge is going to be a three-dimensional representation of the molecule. So next, let us do the opposite way around, convert a sawhorse projection into a Fisher projection. So that should be easy for you people. The only thing that you have to remember is that the staggered sawhorse projection is what you will be generally having. So you will convert it first of all into the eclipse projection and then into the Fisher projection. So here in the example, the compound that I am having is carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon number 3, carbon number 4. That means this is butane. And position number 1 and position number 2 and position number 3 we have a bromine. So 2,3-dibromo butane is the name of the compound, and this is the staggered sawhorse projection. So how did I see it? Well, I find that this is my group in front carbon. So behind this I do not find another group. So these groups, they are going sideways. So when I look at the front, well, I will be able to see all three. And if I look below, well, again, I will be able to see the CH3 group in between the hydrogen and bromine. So all the 6 groups, they are going to be visible to me. Therefore, this is a staggered projection. Now we are going to rotate it by an angle of 180 degree. When we rotate it, the CH3 will go on top. The bromine and hydrogen, they will come below on the opposite side. So you get the eclipsed sawhorse. And when you have to convert it into the Fisher, so you will be starting from the rear carbon and the front carbon. So these are these ones. Okay. So CH3 group which is on top and the CH3 which is on top. So all these 4, they will be forming the vertical line starting with the top from the CH3. Okay. So CH3, C2, C3 and C4. So this is how we have the vertical line, and then you have to place the groups on the horizontal line for C2 and C3. So that is just going to be in the same way as you see over here. So this is the vertical line. You see on your left a bromine and on your right a hydrogen. So a bromine on left, a hydrogen on the right, a hydrogen on the left and a bromine on the right. So a hydrogen and a bromine. So I think this is also again going to be as simple as anything now. So now we are just left with the looking up of one projection, and that is the Newman projection. So let us do now another conversion, a sawhorse into a Newman and then a Newman into a Fisher. Okay, so the example that you are looking over here, first of all, we have this as a staggered sawhorse projection because we see the erect bond, this is on top, and the other erect line, this is going below. So when they are opposite to each other, well, this is the staggered. When they are on the same side, that is the eclipsed. Fine. So now you know that this is the staggered sawhorse projection, and in a staggered sawhorse projection, this is going to be the rear carbon, this is the front carbon. So we now look through the front carbon in such a way that we cannot see a rear carbon for drawing the Newman projection. So what we do is the rear carbon, we draw it as a circle, and the front carbon we draw it as a dot, which is acting as the center of the circle. Once that is drawn, all the 3 groups which were for the front carbon, we are going to draw it in the same fashion. All 3 bonds intersecting at the center of the circle at an angle of 120 degree. Okay. And it is going to be just exactly like the staggered sawhorse. The pH on top, bromine on my left and OH on my right. So bromine on my left and OH on my right. So this is exactly the replica of the staggered, how you're looking at the front. And similarly, how you're looking at the groups for the rear carbon, you are going to draw them for the Newman also. The only difference is now these lines, they will be not reaching up to the center. They will be just starting at the circumference of the circle. Okay, so this is my erect Y and this is my inverted Y, just as I looked in my staggered sawhorse. This is my inverted Y, this is my erect Y. Okay, so this is how easily you can convert a staggered sawhorse into a staggered Newman. And now you have to convert this into the eclipsed. So what did we do for the staggered? Well, we kept one of the carbons to be stable with its group and we rotated the sigma bond so that the other carbon, the groups attached to it, well, they rotated by an angle of 180 degree. So that we will be doing it for the Newman also. And when we do it for the Newman, well, if supposedly we rotate the front carbon along the central bond by 180 degree, the pH group which was above, this will come below. The bromine and the OH, they will go above but onto the opposite side. That is going to make it a complete rotation of 180 degrees. So now you can see that bromine, when it is going to rotate by an angle of 180 degree, it is going to go on to its opposite side. So it is going to be over here. Now what about these groups that are NH2, Cl and CH3? Have they shifted their position from their original position? No, they have not shifted their position. Okay, so it is actually this NH2 group is exactly behind this OH. The Cl group is exactly behind this bromine and the CH3 is exactly behind this pH, the phenyl group. Okay, but we cannot see if we just make a line exactly behind it. So what we do is we just make a small line closer to this to represent that this CH3 is going to be hiding behind the pH. The NH2 group is hiding behind the OH and the Cl is hiding behind the bromine. So this is how you draw the eclipsed Newman projection. Okay, so these groups are exactly behind these, but just to show what is behind the phenyl group, we have made a line closer to this group and we have written the CH3. So the CH3 is hiding behind the phenyl group. So this is what you should understand. They have not shifted their position from where they were. They are exactly in this position. Fine. Now once you have done that, well, you are going to hold down the molecule in the vertical cane, keeping the front carbon as the lowest. So which is my front carbon? This is my front carbon. So front carbon, we make it over here. The rear carbon, this is above it. And then for the front carbon, what were the groups that we had? Well, we had a OH, a bromine and a pH. So pH is going below. OH was on the left side, so left side, bromine was on the right side, so it is on the right side. Okay, then we look at the circle, that is the C2 carbon. So here we have that. So what was the group which was attached to the C2 carbon, which is, you can now see that is also below, but actually it is on the top. Okay, so we have this over here as the CH3. So this is going to be the start of the molecule. So that goes on the vertical line. So all these four, the CH3, the rear carbon, the front carbon and the phenyl group, they will be one vertical line. And now for the rear carbon, the NH2 was on the left side, the Cl was on the right side. So you are going to put them in the same position. Okay, so I think this should not be very difficult. The way we have been learning it, very easy to do it. Fine. So now just one more example that we will be doing before we finish up the lecture. So here now what are we doing? Well, we are going to convert a Fisher projection into a Newman and Newman into a Sawhorse projection to just finalize everything that we have learned. So let us see now the Fisher. So you already know that now looking at the vertical line, this is going to be the rear carbon, this is going to be the front carbon, and these are going to be the three groups of the rear carbon and the three groups of the front carbon. So we are going to draw this rear carbon as a circle for the Newman projection. We are going to draw the front carbon as the center of this circle, and then we will be putting all the groups which are attached to these carbons. And what projection? It has to be the eclipsed Newman projection when you are converting a Fisher into the Newman. Okay, so when we are going to do that, this means that all the groups for the rear carbon, they are going to be hiding behind the front group. So first of all, we will be drawing the groups for the front carbon. When we draw that, you can see that the CH2, this is below a line, okay? The H is on my left side, the Cl is on my right side. So I draw three lines at an angle of 120 degree, so that one of the groups, this is vertical looking at me, just exactly the same way. Fine. So you have the CH2 group below, the H on the left side, the Cl on the right side. Next you have to draw this CHO. So this CHO group, this will be hiding behind the CH2OH. So we will be drawing this just a little small line emanating from the circumference of the rear carbon as a group which is hiding behind CH2OH. So this is also exactly behind this, just peeping out to tell that I am CHO. Fine. And then what was on the left side? Well, the H was on my left and OH on my right. So that is what we are going to do, a H and a OH. So this is the eclipsed. Now rotate the front carbon by an angle of 180 degree. So when we are going to do that, the CH2 group goes top, the CH and the Cl, they will come below and on the opposite side. So Cl, you are going to see here the H exactly 180 degree opposite side. So here you get that. And now once we have rotated the front, we can see back exactly what were groups behind that. So wherever was the CH2OH, now you can see the CHO is fully fledged looking at us, right? And the H also looking at us and the OH also. So we can now look at all the 6 groups which are attached to the 2 carbons, looking at the front of the molecule. Okay, so this is the staggered Newman. And when you're going to draw the sawhorse for it, again, this dot is the front carbon, this one is the back carbon. So join them by an oblique long line and put the groups for them. So this was my inverted Y. So this is my inverted Y and the groups exactly the same way. And this is my erect Y and this is also my erect Y. So I quickly draw the staggered sawhorse projection also. Okay, so I hope now you have understood everything. In case there are any doubts, they are always most welcome. So that would be all for this lecture. And if you have doubts, well, you can put them on our email, that is h2ochemistry@gmail.com. You can also join us on the Facebook page of the channel. The Facebook page has the same name as the channel itself, that is H2O, the A to Z of chemistry. So see you again. Have a nice day. The next lecture, I will be discussing conformational isomerism. So that is going to be the last type of isomerism that we will be discussing in GOC part 2. So see you again. Have a nice day. God bless you.